What's up, everybody? It's CS Nazo, and I am here with yearly E3 press conference coverage. I have to be honest with you guys. These things are a chore to sit through. It's not because of I'm like, oh look, everything looks like crap. In this one, I wasn't really I can't really say so much everything looked like crap so much as I'm just being a cynical asshole. But yeah, it's mainly due to the fact that I have ADHD. Usually I can turn it off, but with E3 I just can't. Is someone coming? I thought someone was coming in. So yeah, I have almost 3 pages of notes here from. So let's just get started. Okay, we got new IPs. Now let's talk about Halo. Yeah, that's something that just kind of threw me off a bit. This is mainly just jokes and stuff like that I wrote down. Because one thing they went on about when the press conference first started, one thing I'd like to point out is that when the press conference started, I had just gotten home from the grocery store, and I walked into the press conference like 2 minutes late, but it was only 2 minutes, so I'm like, okay, I don't think I missed too much. But yeah, they went on about having new IPs, new stuff, and the first things I talk about is Halo, the oldest IP in Microsoft's collection. Oh yeah, while they were talking about Halo 5, yeah, it's Halo 5. They basically, I couldn't help but notice that little tiny thing at the bottom that basically said pre-order now. Really? Now as for the story when it comes to, basically they say that did Master Chief betray his fellow soldiers? I don't play Halo, so I don't know what that's all about. But I'll be honest, that sounds interesting. But God. Also, for some reason, whenever I was watching this trailer, I just got the feeling that this was just, that it was all CG. That nothing we were seeing was actually gameplay. That everything we were seeing was just one big cutscene. They also said that Halo 5 would have drop-in, drop-out co-op, to which I instantly thought, trolls are welcome, because... No, trolls, no. That is just going to bring so many trolls, and people with the game, because Left 4 Dead has, okay, to be honest, Left 4 Dead 2 does have that, and it doesn't happen all that often, but I couldn't help but notice, one time when I was playing the game, we had a full server, and basically what had happened was there was this one guy on the server who he basically got a med kit, and he just kept trying to heal people, and, basically making it so only 2 people could even try the complete stage. And this is, it's been so long since I played Left 4 Dead 2, but it was the one level in the beginning where you have to fill up the car with gas. And only having 2 people there, even on the easiest difficulty, that can be challenging. Basically just eventually booted him from the server, which I honestly can't understand why they wouldn't let players do that, but yeah. Although, to be honest, they did say Halo 5 would be playable at E3, so maybe maybe it wasn't all CG. Maybe there is actually some kind of because with the Watch Dogs thing, everyone got really mad because the trailer they showed basically was a lot better from the actual gameplay trailer that they released later on. So yeah, maybe they're actually going through with the game actually looking like that, but cynical asshole is me. Oh God. . Also, the next game I saw, I didn't get to see much of this trailer because I was writing this all down in pencil, and then all of a sudden the pencil just came straight out. So I had to run, get a pen, and come back. All I saw was that Inafune and the developers of Metroid Prime were working on it. I noticed also say interesting because, ReCore does look interesting. ReCore really does look interesting. But one thing I keep pointing out in my notes is that there are so many trailers in this press conference that show no gameplay. It's like it's just like it's like a 3-minute 3D animation. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're impressive 3D animations, but where's the gameplay? And that's all I can really say about ReCore. Oh, okay. Yeah. I made the joke earlier about Xbox going off about we got new IPs and then immediately going into Halo. Well, I guess this is one of the new IPs they were talking about. A bunch of jokes about Xbox not being the best gaming company ever. Especially the one about listening to feedback. That was just bullshit. Oh yeah, and they go on to talk about Xbox One's backwards compatibility. This is something that is good. I don't really have much to say on it at the time they first said it. I got more about it, but I'll get to you on that. This is something good, but here's the thing. That should have been there at launch. Backwards compatibility with a 360 should have been there at launch. Launch? Launch. And for some reason they felt the need to show off backwards compatibility. It's not that hard to comprehend what backwards compatibility is. You don't need to show us it's backwards compatible. If you're being honest about the backwards compatibility, and the cord on my headset is screwing with me. If you're being honest about about it being backwards compatible, then you don't need to show it off. Just take your word for it. And then they said that the people who made the game, or whoever owns the rights to the game, will have to approve the game to be backwards compatible before it is backwards compatible. That has so much room for abuse. I'm sorry, but they have to approve. The companies have to approve backwards compatibility. What is wrong with you people? It should just be. I mean, our console is now compatible with Xbox 360 discs. That's it. Why do companies have to approve this? If I already own the game, why do I have to hope to God the company cares enough about it to make it backwards compatible for the 360? Xbox, you get my point. And I got mad, and all I got here, the next thing we talked about was that they were showing off a new Xbox One controller, which, okay, a new controller, that works, I guess, but from what I understand, nobody really has any problems with the original Xbox One controller. I mean, people had problems with the Duke for the original Xbox, but the original Xbox One controller? No, I don't think anyone has any problems with that. In fact, I actually remember going to a game store about a month ago and asking if they had any wired Xbox 360 controllers. The guy said no, but we got Xbox One controllers that you can connect to your computer. And he said that for PC gaming, that is the best controller to use if you're going to be using a controller at all. So yeah, people really like the Xbox One controller. No real need for improvement, but okay, if you think that there is. And it does look a little bit better, but what was that? 2 to 3 minutes dedicated to controller porn for something that's only a slight improvement on something that didn't really need to be improved to begin with? Ah, yes, and here we go with Fallout 4. I'm sorry, for some reason my sinuses are really screwing with me. My sinuses just love to do this when I'm vlogging and stuff like this. Fallout 4 looks good so far. The only thing I really didn't like about it when I first started out was the fact that they changed the way the Pip-Boy looks, although then again, they probably have like a different Pip-Boy for each generation anyway. I just like the Pip-Boy from Fallout 3 more than the one in the trailer. I'm sure it works practically the same way. This is something that threw me off. Okay, so the premise of Fallout is that a nuclear war happened, and in order for the human race to survive, at least in America, I'm not sure if any other countries were even affected by this at all, they had to hide in vaults. And your character wakes up in Vault 111. And later on in the trailer, one thing I'd like to say is that the game starts 200 years after this war ended. Point that out. Your character is someone who leaves the vault 200 years after the war ends. And from what I've seen in the trailer, he survived that 200 years. He lived those 200 years. I mean, you think he'd be coming out like all? I mean, what? So apparently, the people in the Fallout series are all immortals now. I know I'm bitching and complaining about nothing here because I mean that's just a little nitpick, but the guy went into a vault for 100 years and comes back out like only 5 years had passed. And now the main character has a voice. I'm not entirely sure how to feel about that. I mean, I guess it can make the game more immersive, but I just don't know what to think of it. I mean, I know people have problems with the whole silent protagonist, a cliche in games, but when you have a game like, say, Pokemon, Skyrim, or even Fallout, like Fallout 3, it does help with the immersion. The silent protagonist does help out with the immersion. In fact, in those games, technically you're not silent. You don't hear the character's voice. You don't hear your character's voice at all, but you're technically not a silent protagonist. Also, a few days ago, I completed the main story campaign in Fallout 3 for the Xbox 360. One thing I noticed is that in Fallout 3, you have to be trained to use power armor. Here, you apparently know it right off the bat. I'm not sure if that's an improvement or if that's something where I don't know. I'll have to play the game and really try to. It's something I can't describe without actually playing the game. And considering I don't have an Xbox One, the memory on my laptop is basically full. I really have no way of playing it until I save up enough money for an Xbox One or PS4 if it's coming out for the PS4. I keep hearing something that sounds like the garage door. Whatever. Opens the door, I'll just close the door and talk. Yeah. Also, apparently there's an exclusive offer for the Xbox version where if you buy Fallout 4, you also get Fallout 3 for free. I really don't know what to say about that. I'm sorry. I just to me, that just doesn't seem like a good idea. I mean, you're pushing people to buy the game for the Xbox version, and if there is a PS4 version, that game's gonna suck. Well, it's not gonna suck. I'm not gonna say it's gonna suck. It's not. Some tells me it's gonna wind up being just as good as the Xbox One version. But in terms of financial sales, it's not gonna do as well, and then we're not gonna see any more Fallout games for the PlayStation because Fallout 4 is. PlayStation fans don't care about Fallout. I just see that going wrong. And then EA came out! Oh, EA, the whipping boy for the entire gaming community. One thing I have in my notes here is Best of EA, aka the worst of gaming in general. And now to page 2. EA deal. Oh yeah, they start talking about EA Access. And the deal they had for promoting EA Access is basically the same as WWE giving away the WWE Network for free for basically every month that doesn't have a big name pay-per-view on it, like SummerSlam or. They don't care about the Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns has proved they don't give a shit about the Royal Rumble, but that's going off topic. But yeah, anyone who's a fan of WWE knows just how desperate they are to get people to rejoin that. And the deal they have the deal EA have just feels like that. Start talking about Garden Warfare. I haven't been paying any attention to Plants vs. Zombies. Did that come out a year ago, or did that come out like 2 or 3 years ago? Okay. That one bad thing I had in there about releasing the next Garden Warfare, I guess to be honest, it doesn't really make any sense if it did came out like 2 to 3 years ago, but I don't know, to me it feels like last year. And also the cutscene featured Danger Zone because pop culture! And it was all one big cutscene. It has no gameplay at all, it's just one big cutscene. Then they spent a good 2 minutes promoting the Ford GT. I mean, I understand that it was like, I understand that the idea is that, okay, this is an amazing car and it's going to be playable in Forza, in the new Forza game that we're making, but really? One car. That's it. This is a racing game, and you're only going to talk about one car. You're going to spend so much time advertising one car just because it's playable in the game. What about all the other, what has to be hundreds of cars that are also going to be playable in the game? You don't think any of those are worth mentioning? Of course not. Because you got a guy who works at Ford there at the E3 press conference, and they don't want you advertising anything that's not made by Ford. I had one line here that I was something. It was going to be a negative that a couple minutes later I realized, okay, that's not really valid anymore. So I just. It looks good, but at the same, Forza 6 looks good. Forza 6 definitely looks good. It definitely looks impressive, but it just looks like a cutscene to me, which is something that's going to be a recurring theme throughout this entire thing. We're not even halfway through my notes here. And then we started seeing the trailer for a game that's set in the medieval world and is incredibly depressing. Before the trailer was even half over, I wrote down, this is either Dark Souls or Shadows of Mordor. And then they announced it was Dark Souls 3. I fucking called it. And then today's whipping boy. You know how earlier I said EA was I mean, used to be the whipping boy. No, I mean, no, nobody still likes EA. EA has just nothing but bad decisions as of late. But they have kind of taken the backseat to the new whipping boy of the gaming community, Ubisoft, who came out next. What the fuck are you thinking, Microsoft? You have two companies who people are doing nothing but hating on as of late, and you're giving them a good chunk of your press conference? Okay, so they started talking about the new Tom Clancy game. What is it called? The Division? I think, yeah, it was called The Division or something like that. All I could really say for this was that it looked like Ubisoft had run out of ideas for their for the new Tom Clancy game. They're just like, oh my god, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And then I have in like my best impression of like full letter zombies. That's basically what it is. It's just the last Tom Clancy game that came out, but with zombies because everybody loves zombies and nobody's tired of zombies yet. Nobody's tired of zombies. Nobody. And they also said that the game was going to be a shooter RPG. That's something that happened. That is something they said. Going at those RPG elements or going into detail about what those RPG elements are? No? You're just going to say RPG because gamers like hearing that those three letters put together, RPG. You're just going to say that because we like hearing that? I also have here, I somehow doubt that. Oh yeah, that's just the jokes I like to write in here in order to keep my. When it comes to Ubisoft, I do not trust any of their trailers. I'd be surprised if anybody would trust any of their trailers, considering what went down with Watch_Dogs. I'm looking over here because once again I have my laptop connected to my TV. One thing they talked about with Rainbow Six. Rainbow Six, again, you shouldn't trust the trailer, but from what the trailer showed, it looked good. Although there is one thing I have to say about Ubisoft. I own a couple Ubisoft games up there in my collection, Assassin's Creed and Fallout 3. No, that wasn't made by Ubisoft. That was made by Bethesda. What am I thinking? I own Assassin's Creed 1 and Far Cry 3. And Far Cry 3 is a good game, but a lot of like the stealth mechanics in the game, which the game really wants you to rely upon, because if you go into like some kind of stronghold guns a-blazing, you're not going to survive. You are not going to survive. So you kind of have to use the stealth mechanics a bit in Far Cry. The problem is that the stealth kills only work half the time. Even if you do get one of those button prompts to do a stealth kill, the stealth kill only works half the time. That's why I don't trust any Ubisoft game, because with Assassin's Creed and Far Cry 3, that's the problem that sums it up. It's a good game when it works, and it only works half the time. Alright, so let's go on to the next one. Nice trailer, too bad. Gigantic, free-to-play, aka free-to-pay. Yes, I do not have a lot of faith in any AAA game publisher, let alone Ubisoft, doing free-to-play correctly. Now, free-to-play can be done correctly, okay? The first game I downloaded for Steam was Team Fortress 2. I don't know why I didn't know that off the top of my head. The first game I downloaded along with Steam was Team Fortress 2, and that's an excellent free-to-play game. It can be done correctly, but I do not trust Ubisoft with the free-to-play market. I do not trust Ubisoft with the free-to-play Then they decided to show a lot of indie games to show that we're totally indie friendly. It's not like there was this one fighting game that was also an indie game that we wouldn't let people download through Xbox Live because it was too big. It's totally nothing. Skullgirl? What? No. What's that even? Maybe they are doing better with the indie scene. Maybe they are, but so much shit from and Microsoft in the past few years. I don't trust any of the companies except Bethesda in this press conference. Bethesda, and I trust the indie developers. I trust Mojang. That's it. I don't trust anyone. They showed a lot of indie games that actually looked very good, except for Beyond Eyes. I'm sure Beyond Eyes is going to be a great game, and I'm a big proponent for video games are art, but for me, it seems like Beyond Eyes is art for art's sake. Because that's all I saw. I saw art up there. I didn't see anything fun when I saw the trailer for Beyond Eyes. I just saw art. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, that's not a bad thing. I said this literally 30 seconds ago. I am a proponent for video games as an art form, but at the same time, I don't know. I just look at the trailer for Beyond Eyes, and I'm just like, people have to call this game an amazing game because it's an indie game and it's artsy. Maybe I am just a cynical asshole. Maybe I am just a cynical asshole, and this has been nothing but negativity so far. But don't worry, there are positive things coming up. There are positive things coming up. It's just not until the end when I get to page 3. We all know the horror that's going on with early access on the indie. We all know that. Now, we're giving the AAA publishers like EA and Ubisoft the ability to do the same thing with their AAA games. Indies can't be trusted with early access. There are a couple indie games that were good, like Minecraft was an early access game. That was very good. I think Terraria was an early access game at one point. There are early access games that are good, but 9 times out of 10, early access is not done well. Now we're giving the publishers we do not trust the ability to do the same. Right after I said things are going to get better with this. Right after I said that. Remember one of the indie developers getting up on stage and going, I don't want a game. To be honest, what he meant to go on to say was, I don't want a game, I want a universe. I don't remember everything, but yeah, he was basically saying that he wants something that's more than a game. But all I wrote down for that was, I don't want a game, judging by the way Microsoft showed the Xbox One when they first introduced it, neither does Microsoft. Ion. All I can say to Ion is, what? And to that thing at the end, symbolism. And the bold text again, see? Symbolism. Symbolism. That is all I can say for the last one, just symbolism. That's all I can say for that. They also talked about, okay, the indie thing had ended it by this point. Now we're going back to the AAA publishers. And they started talking about Tomb Raider. To be honest, the Tomb Raider game looks good in terms of graphics, but it was all a QuickTime event. Oh, and by the way, you know that little kerfuffle we had about a year ago about hearing that the new Tomb Raider game was going to be an Xbox exclusive, and everyone was going to say, if they announce that it is, that there will be a PlayStation version coming after the Xbox version, then everything should be fine. Nope, no PlayStation version for you, you Tomb Raider fan. All you PlayStation owners who are loyal Tomb Raider fans, you can go fuck yourself, because it's on Xbox now. But for the game itself, it looks good for a QuickTime event. Because that's what it looked like to me. It looked like a QuickTime event. And then I literally saw a circle with an X on it, and I'm like, this is a QuickTime event. This is a QuickTime event. Dear Jesus. Next thing I have in my notes regarding Tomb Raider is, yes, Laura, God hates you. I just noticed the thing on my... Because this... Sorry, my hair got caught on my headset. That's the only way I can explain all the shit that happens to Laura in the trailer. Just, God hates you. Because, okay. Let's say they do have to climb this mountain in order to get whatever. Lara Croft is an archaeologist, so I'm assuming there are some ancient ruins up there with some legendary treasure that'll shed new light on some civilization. And basically, the mountains, there's avalanches, there's thunder, there's earthquakes, the mountain itself is falling apart. This is probably one of the biggest storms in recorded history going on. And it was never forecast? You'd think that, okay. To be honest, severe weather does, every now and then, severe weather just, does just show up out of nowhere sometimes. But usually there's some kind of warning to it. At least an hour warning. With a storm this big, there had to have been some kind of notice prior to them starting the expedition that there's going to be a really big storm coming. One that's really big. You should not be climbing a mountain this weather. They go up anyway. Either Laura was incredibly stupid when she decided to climb the mountain that day, instead of just going, okay, I'll wait till tomorrow so I can climb the mountain safely. Or, it's either that or God hates Lara Croft. It's one of those two things. Sometimes I have trouble reading my own handwriting. Oh, yeah. The rare replay. They showcase all these wonderful titles made by Rare. Perfect Dark, Banjo-Kazooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Battletoads. We're going to be seeing a new Rare game, and to be honest, they did showcase a new Rare game later in the convention, but that was just a big troll. That just pissed me off when I saw it, because you have so many gamers begging Microsoft to do something with Rare's IPs. Something like the Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo 3E. We've been begging for that since Rare was bought by Microsoft. We got nuts and bolts, which Banjo-Kazooie fans don't like, but we got nuts and bolts. And it's just a collection of rare games. And all I have down here for this just being a big rareware collection pack like the Sonic Mega Collection. Fuck you too, Microsoft. Fuck you. Never played these games, but when you have so many gamers who care so deeply about these IPs, and you're just not going to make a sequel to any of them, you're just gonna troll us like that. Oh, that's all I can say. Fuck you too. But then they did announce that Rare is working on a new game. It's just not a sequel to any game. Not Banjo 3E. Sea of Thieves, which visually it looks impressive. Visually it looks very impressive. I do not have a hard time. I do not have a hard time believing that what we're seeing is actual gameplay. Bad we weren't shown any gameplay. We were shown. We were shown somebody walking around the environment, but we weren't really seeing anything until the end, where we saw two pirate ships firing cannons at each other. Which, okay, that's kind of cool, to be honest. A pirate game. Okay, so Sea of Thieves is a pirate game. That's all we know. Sea of Thieves is a pirate game, and that's all. That's all they know. That's all they're going to show us. And then we have Fable, the brainchild of one Peter Molyneux, the master of hyping something up only to never deliver upon it. Or that. But to be honest, all they said was that we got a new Fable game coming out, and then they just kind of left. Okay, fair enough. Although before they left, they did say that the new Fable game was going to be free to play. We're trusting Peter Molyneux with a free to play mentality. We're trusting Peter Molyneux with a free to play mentality. Okay, so they actually start talking about the Oculus Rift, several different virtual reality headsets being compatible with Xbox One and several Xbox One games. Finally, people, this is where the press conference gets good. Everything I saw regarding the virtual reality thing was stuff I liked. There was not. I'm not exactly reading my notes here, but there was not one thing I did not like about the virtual reality thing in the Xbox. About the virtual reality part of the Xbox press conference, there was not one thing I didn't like. There was not one thing. Okay, so one of the things they're talking about was that every Oculus Rift you buy, I'm assuming at a store, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but every Oculus Rift you buy will come with an Xbox One controller. Great! That is something I can get behind. That is great. Good. At first, I thought they were just going to talk, at first I didn't think this was going to go well. Because I remember last year, I remember seeing something, that there was this headset that you could just wear around the house, and you could use it to just control like lights and stuff like that, as opposed to just having a light switch in your house, which at this point in time most people do have. That just seems needlessly complicated. It just seems like there's just so much room for stuff that could go wrong. I just didn't like it when I first saw it. But then they talked about it this year, and they talked about how it can be used for games, using Minecraft as an example. And people, Minecraft as an example, the things you could do with that virtual reality headset while playing Minecraft, at least in multiplayer. I'm not sure how great it would be for single player, but multiplayer, guys, That was amazing. Everything I saw with that virtual reality headset when playing Minecraft, that's something I can get behind. I remember I put this thing down about kind of going overkill with the TNT. That's more on the about that one person and the way they were playing the game. But yeah, the only real problem I have with it is that that's probably going to be expensive as hell. But I mean, but in terms of actual technology, how it's used for the game, what it can do for the game, it's impressive. It's just too bad it's going to be expensive as hell. They said something about a Gears of War remake, and then they actually showed us a new Gears of War. I've never played Gears of War. I've seen gameplay footage for Gears of War. That's about it. But I really don't know what to make of this, other than it looks good. But then again, I never played Gears of War, so I don't know. I don't say. Then they had their closing statements, which I have no opinion on, and the press conference was done. Overall, not a good press conference, but like I said 1,000 times before, the virtual reality stuff looks great. If you're going to take anything away from this, press conference, take away what they said about the Fallout games and about the virtual reality. That's what you should take out of this. That is what we should focus on. Well, not necessarily what we should focus on. I'm saying that because I would rather focus on the good than the bad. But I decided to cut it short because 42 minutes. Sorry. But yeah, they have their closing statements. I'm probably going to do something like this for the next press conference they're going to be doing. Which, let's be honest, they're going to be doing another press conference today, and it's going to happen soon. Or to sit through, like this one. Probably going to be. It's probably going to be. You know, in all honesty, it's probably going to wind up being better than this. But in terms of what they're showing, but my ADHD just makes this just such a. But I'm going to look online. I'm going to see when it's coming, covering it, if I can watch it at all. I might do something. I might not. But to be honest, I'm just glad I'm done with the Xbox E3 press coverage. But yeah, that's it. I am still working on the Beyblade review. That's coming along. I'm working on the script for that. I'll expect it sometime soon. This E3 stuff is kind of delaying that for a little bit, but usually they start with the E3 coverage at around like 5 o'clock, so I can get to it then. Until then, CS Nazo, signing out. I might do another press conference video. I might not. I don't know.